In a crowded coffee shop nestled between an art gallery and a vintage record store, the air hummed with the comforting chaos of caffeine-fueled conversations. The barista, an overly enthusiastic college student, shouted out names as if announcing Olympic medalists, while patrons scrolled through their phones, blissfully unaware of the impending doom brewing in the corner booth. Maverick, a self-proclaimed digital Robin Hood, sat hunched over his laptop, his fingers dancing across the keyboard like a maestro conducting an orchestra of ones and zeros. Dressed in a hoodie that had seen more late-night code sessions than laundry days, and thick glasses that constantly slid down his nose, he epitomized the stereotype of the hacktivist, a scruffy genius with a penchant for sarcasm. Just as he was about to unleash the final line of code that would send the coffee shop's Wi-Fi into a glitchy frenzy, he accidentally hit send on a mass email to his underground hacker group. The screen flashed, and a meme featuring a cat with the caption, "When you realize the internet is just a bunch of tubes," shot out to everyone. A moment of silence engulfed the group chat before it erupted. "Dude, really? This is your master plan?" Pixel, a flamboyant hacker known for his penchant for digital art, responded with a flurry of laughing emojis. "Who knew cat memes were the secret weapon?" chirped Byte, a bright-eyed newcomer who idolized Maverick and often referred to him as the Wizard of the Web. Maverick buried his face in his hands, fighting back laughter. "I'm a hacker, not a meme lord," he exclaimed, even as the absurdity of the moment made him chuckle, but the humor quickly dissipated when a notification flashed across his screen. An encrypted message from the Oracle, the enigmatic leader of their group, appeared. "Maverick, urgent meeting. Now." Heart racing, he quickly shoved his laptop into his backpack and made his way to the basement of an old building downtown, a space that had become the underground hacker's haven. The air was thick with the scent of stale pizza and unwashed bodies, a fitting tribute to the chaos that had become their lives. As he entered, the low light illuminated a circle of ragtag hackers, their faces illuminated by the glow of their laptops. They turned to him with expectant eyes, and Maverick felt a surge of pride mixed with anxiety. "Glad you could join us, meme master," the Oracle said, a smirk on her face as she adjusted her glasses. "We need to talk about the government's latest move. They're developing a countermeasure against us." Maverick frowned. "Great, because I totally wanted to become a digital martyr. They've got a program called Project Clean Sweep. It's designed to wipe us out once and for all." The Oracle's tone shifted to one of urgency. "We need a plan." Maverick's mind raced. They were fighting a war in cyberspace, and now it felt like the government was ramping up its arsenal. As the others debated strategies, a thought crept into his mind. What if he could find something powerful enough to turn the tide in their favor? He felt a spark of excitement as he recalled the dark web whispers he'd encountered the night before. He had stumbled across a file containing information about a virus dubbed Zero Day, capable of dismantling the very foundations of the internet, but this wasn't just any virus. This was a weapon. As the meeting continued, Maverick's thoughts drifted to the implications of unleashing such power. It was one thing to fight back, it was another to bring society to its knees. He hesitated, not ready to share this dangerous secret. Later that night, in the solitude of his cluttered apartment, Maverick logged onto the dark web. His screen flickered with indecipherable codes and illicit marketplaces. With each click, he felt like he was peeling back layers of a digital onion, and at the core, he found Zero Day. The file pulsed with potential and danger, whispering promises of control over the information flow that governed society. "Whoa, this is big," he murmured to himself, the gravity of his discovery weighing on him. He pictured himself as a hero, a savior of the hackers, but a nagging doubt tugged at him. This could obliterate everything, and with it, the very freedom they fought for. The next day, as the sun dipped below the skyline, Maverick met Byte at their usual haunt, a rundown diner where the Wi-Fi was as unreliable as the food. "Hey, can I run something by you?" he said, his voice low. "I found something on the dark web, a virus." Byte's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "A virus? Like a computer virus or?" "Yeah, like a virus that can destroy the internet," he replied, watching her reaction closely. "Whoa! That's epic. We can take down the government's project, right?" Her excitement was palpable, but Maverick felt a twinge of guilt. "Hold on, Byte. It's not that simple. This thing is a double-edged sword. If we use it, it could affect millions of innocent people." She frowned, the weight of his words sinking in. "But isn't that what they're doing to us? They're trying to take away our freedom. This is just a way to fight back." Maverick rubbed the back of his neck, caught between his moral compass and the thrill of the fight. "Maybe, but," before he could finish, a commotion erupted outside. A group of suited government agents stormed into the diner, their expressions serious as they flashed badges. "Everyone, stay calm. We're looking for a hacker known as a Maverick." Panic surged through Maverick as he ducked under the table, pulling Byte down with him. "Did they say my name?" he whispered, his heart pounding in his chest. "Looks like you're famous," she whispered back, a mixture of fear and excitement lighting up her face. Maverick couldn't help but laugh, despite the chaos. "Famous for all the wrong reasons." They crawled their way toward the back exit, narrowly escaping as the agents combed through the diner, oblivious to their retreat. Outside, they ran into an alleyway, breathless and exhilarated. "Okay, that was intense," Byte said, laughing nervously. "Yeah, I'd say. Maybe we should rethink this whole hacker lifestyle." But deep down, Maverick knew that the stakes had changed. The government was onto them, and if they were going to fight back, they needed to act quickly. "Let's regroup. We can't let them catch us," he said, determination flooding his veins. "We've got to figure out how to use zero-day, but we need to be smart about it." As they caught their breath in the alley, a plan began to form in Maverick's mind, a crazy, reckless plan that might just give them the upper hand. "Okay, here's what we do." They slipped out of the alley and into the bustling streets, where life continued, blissfully unaware of the digital storm brewing beneath the surface. Maverick led the way, glancing over his shoulder every few seconds, half expecting government agents to pop up like those annoying ads that cluttered his browser. "Okay, here's the plan," he said, quickening his pace. "We need to get back to the basement, rally the others, and come up with a strategy. But first, we need a distraction, something to keep the heat off us while we prepare." "Like what?" Byte asked, her brow furrowing in concentration. "Remember that viral video of the dancing squirrels? We need something that can go viral, something to pull their attention away from us." Maverick was already brainstorming as they rounded the corner. "Dancing squirrels?" Byte laughed. "You're serious? Okay, maybe not squirrels. But we need something ridiculous that will blow up on social media. We can create a fake hacking group, something silly, like the Hacker Hamsters or Puppies Against Surveillance." Byte's eyes widened with excitement. Puppies Against Surveillance. I love it. Right? Imagine the media coverage, Maverick said, his mind racing with possibilities. While they're busy chasing down a bunch of puppy memes, we'll have the freedom to work on zero-day. With a plan in mind, they headed to a nearby park where Byte quickly whipped out her phone. Within minutes, they were setting up a mock social media account for Puppies Against Surveillance, complete with absurd graphics of cute puppies in sunglasses wielding keyboards. Maverick couldn't help but grin at the sight. "This is genius," he said, as Byte uploaded the first post, a video of her dog performing tricks intercut with footage of security cameras. The caption read, "Our furry friends are tired of being watched. Puppies Against Surveillance." They shared it across various platforms, and before they knew it, likes and shares began rolling in. The ridiculousness of their campaign seemed to resonate with the internet, and soon, their silly initiative began trending. As they watched the notifications flood in, Maverick felt a rush of hope. Maybe this was the distraction they needed. "All right, while the world gets distracted by puppies, let's get back to work." They dashed back to the basement where the Oracle and the other hackers were still huddled around their laptops. When they entered, the atmosphere shifted from tense to intrigued. "Looks like you two had quite the adventure," the Oracle remarked, raising an eyebrow. "Adventure? More like a viral campaign," Byte quipped, still riding the high of their success. Maverick wasted no time. "We've got to move fast. I found Zero Day, and we need to decide how to deploy it." The room fell silent. Eyes widened as they absorbed the weight of his words. "Zero Day?" The Oracle's voice was low, laced with a mixture of fear and intrigue. "That's dangerous, Maverick. You know what it can do." "I know, but it's our best shot at fighting back against Project Clean Sweep. They're hunting us down, and we can't let them win," he insisted. The tension in the room crackled as the group debated. Maverick could see the uncertainty flickering in their eyes, but he pushed forward. "If we time it right, we can take down their mainframe and disrupt their entire operation. We have to act before they catch us." Pixel piped up, "What if we set a timer on Zero Day? Give ourselves a chance to get clear before it activates?" Byte nodded enthusiastically. "We can create a backup plan to control the fallout. If we can isolate the virus and ensure it targets only their systems." "Exactly," Maverick said, encouraged by her insight. "But we'll need everyone's skills. It's going to take all of us working together." With their plan taking shape, the group sprang into action. Each hacker dove into their respective roles, fingers flying over keyboards as they collaborated in a frenzy. Maverick felt a surge of adrenaline as they started building the virus, carefully crafting its parameters to avoid collateral damage. Hours melted away as they honed their strategy. Laughter punctuated the tension when Byte accidentally uploaded a meme of a puppy wearing a hacker hoodie instead of the intended code file. "Dude, that's not going to hack anything," Maverick exclaimed, laughter bubbling up. "Maybe it will distract them long enough." Byte shot back, grinning. As the sun began to rise outside, casting a warm glow through the basement windows, they finally had a working version of Zero Day ready for deployment. "Okay, we need to do this now," Maverick said, a mix of excitement and anxiety surging through him. "We'll launch it while they're distracted by the Puppies Against Surveillance campaign." Byte took a deep breath. "Let's do it. For freedom." The Oracle nodded, her expression serious. "Stay focused. We're about to enter the eye of the storm." With their plan set, they initiated Zero Day, watching the code race across the screens as it infiltrated the government's networks. Maverick felt a mix of exhilaration and dread as they monitored the progress. Come on," he muttered, fingers crossed. As the code executed, a message flashed across the screen. connection established. Cheers erupted in the basement, but the joy was short-lived. The monitors began flickering, and the atmosphere shifted from celebration to alarm. "What's happening?" Maverick shouted, frantically typing as he scanned the screens. Byte leaned over his shoulder, her eyes wide. "There's a counter-response coming from their system. They're fighting back." The Oracle's face paled. "We need to pull the plug before it spirals out of control." Maverick's heart raced as he scrambled to regain control. "I can't. It's too late. If we disconnect now, it could set off a chain reaction." Panic set in as alarms blared from the servers, and red lights blinked ominously. The sound of sirens echoed from outside, growing louder, blending into the chaos of their digital battleground. "This was a bad idea," someone shouted. "No, it was a necessary risk." Maverick replied, trying to stay calm. "We just need to adjust our parameters. Byte, help me reroute the virus. We can contain it." Together, they fought against the tide, sweat pouring down their faces as they tried to override the system. It was a frantic dance of fingers on keys, pushing through the panic to regain control of the virus. Finally, with one last keystroke, the monitors settled. The alarm ceased, and the screen stabilized. "We did it!" Byte shouted, her voice tinged with disbelief. But the victory was short-lived. The monitors displayed a map of their location, and a flashing red dot was quickly closing in. "They found us!" Maverick yelled, adrenaline flooding his system. "We have to go." As they gathered their belongings, the Oracle shouted, "Everyone out. We need to split up and meet at the safe house." In the chaos, Maverick felt a surge of responsibility. "Byte, stick with me," he called, grabbing her hand. They dashed out of the basement and into the alley, hearts pounding in rhythm with their footsteps. The city was alive with the sounds of chaos as they sprinted through the streets, weaving through the crowd. Maverick glanced back, and his heart dropped as he saw government agents emerging from the shadows, their eyes scanning for anyone who looked even slightly suspicious. "Over there." Byte pointed to a small cafe with a side entrance. They ducked inside, hoping to blend in with the early morning patrons. As they caught their breath, Maverick could hear snippets of conversations around them, people blissfully ignorant of the storm swirling just outside. He leaned against the wall, trying to think. "We need to find a way to signal the others. They'll be looking for us." Byte pulled out her phone, fingers flying over the screen. "What about a mass text? We can tell them to head to the park. It's big enough for everyone to hide out." Maverick nodded, feeling the tension slowly seep away. "Good idea. Just keep it vague. We don't want to give away our location." As Byte crafted the message, Maverick glanced out the window. The streets were bustling with the morning rush, oblivious to the high-stakes game of cat and mouse playing out in their midst. He couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning. Finally, Byte sent the text, and they waited. The seconds felt like hours as they kept their heads down, pretending to sip coffee while their hearts raced. Then, just as the tension became unbearable, a familiar face popped in through the side entrance, Pixel, his colorful hair standing out even in the muted morning light. "You guys made it," he exclaimed, relief washing over him. "Did everyone get the message?" Maverick asked, scanning the room for signs of other hackers. "Yeah, they're on their way," Pixel said, his voice a mix of excitement and concern. "But we need to get out of here before they find us. I heard they're setting up roadblocks." "Then let's move," Byte said, her voice steady. "We can't let them trap us. They slipped out the back of the cafe, joining the bustling street. As they navigated through the crowd, Maverick felt a rush of determination. They had faced down the government's forces and lived to tell the tale. "Remember, stay low and keep your heads down," Maverick instructed as they began walking toward the park, the plan to regroup and figure out their next steps. As they arrived at the park, the sun had fully risen, casting a golden glow over the greenery. The place was alive with people jogging, walking dogs, and enjoying their morning coffee. "Where's everyone else?" Byte asked, looking around anxiously. "They'll show," Maverick assured her, trying to hide his own worries. "They know where to find us." Just then, a commotion erupted from the far end of the park. Maverick's heart sank as he spotted a group of agents entering, their eyes scanning the crowd. "Move! Now!" he shouted, grabbing Byte's hand as they ducked behind a cluster of trees. "Do you think they know we're here?" Byte asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Let's hope not," Maverick replied, peering around the trunk to see how many agents were patrolling. "We can't stay here forever," Pixel chimed in, glancing around nervously. "What if they start questioning people?" "I've got an idea," Maverick said, his mind racing. "We need to create a diversion." He spotted a nearby fountain with a group of kids playing, splashing water everywhere. "I'll create a distraction, and you two slip away to find the others." "Are you crazy?" Byte exclaimed. "What if they catch you?" "Better me than all of us," he said, determination hardening his voice. "Trust me. Just get the others. I'll find a way to meet up." Byte hesitated, looking between Maverick and Pixel. "You better come back in one piece," she said finally. "I promise," he replied, giving her a quick nod before darting away. Maverick moved toward the fountain, adrenaline pumping through him. He could feel the eyes of the agents tracking his movements, but he focused on the kids, their laughter echoing around him. He picked up a few small stones from the ground and began tossing them into the fountain, creating splashes that caught the attention of the adults nearby. As laughter erupted from the children, he made a ruckus, shouting about how the fountain was the gateway to the secret underwater society. The kids squealed with delight, and soon, a small crowd gathered to watch the spectacle. Meanwhile, he could see Byte and Pixel slipping away toward the park's edge, their heads down, blending in with the crowd. Maverick's heart raced, knowing that the agents were still watching. He kept up the charade, improvising a story about how he was the ambassador of the underwater realm, but deep down, his mind was racing. What would happen next? Would Byte and Pixel find the others? Just then, he caught a glimpse of movement from the corner of his eye. One of the agents, a tall man with a stern expression, had broken away from the group and was moving closer. Maverick felt his pulse quicken. He needed to act fast. He feigned a slip, tumbling into the fountain with a splash. The kids erupted in laughter, and he used the moment to his advantage, scrambling out and dousing the agent in water. "You can't capture an ambassador of the secret society," he shouted, turning the agent's attention toward the chaotic scene around him. The agent stumbled back, momentarily disoriented by the unexpected splash zone. That was Maverick's cue to bolt. He ducked behind the fountain and dashed toward the park's exit, heart pounding in his chest. As he ran, he could hear the distant shouts of the agents behind him. He had to find Byte and Pixel. They needed to regroup and strategize. The sun was now fully overhead, casting long shadows as he raced through the park, weaving between joggers and families. Finally, he spotted Byte and Pixel huddled behind a bench, their faces a mixture of relief and concern. "You made it!" Byte exclaimed as he approached, breathless. "Barely," Maverick replied, glancing back to see if they were followed. "Did you get everyone?" Almost, Pixel said, peering around. But we need to move. They're setting up roadblocks, and we heard chatter about a sweep through the area. Maverick's mind raced. We have to find a place to hide, somewhere we can regroup and plan our next move. Let's head to my aunt's place, Byte suggested. It's not far, and she's out of town for the weekend. Perfect, Maverick agreed, grateful for a safe haven. They took off, dodging the lingering crowd as they made their way through the streets, the weight of their actions settling heavily on their shoulders. The urgency of their situation hung in the air, a reminder of the risk they were all taking. As they arrived at Byte's aunt's apartment, they hurried inside, closing the door quietly behind them. The place was small but cozy, decorated with mismatched furniture and colorful art. It felt like a world away from the chaos outside. Okay, we can't stay here long, Maverick said, looking around. We need to figure out what's next. Byte and Pixel joined him in the small living room, tension palpable. We need to re-evaluate our strategy, Byte said, her voice steady. We have 0 day, but we need to deploy it carefully. Maverick nodded, appreciating her focus. We can't let them corner us. We have to stay ahead of their movements. If we can keep them distracted with the puppies against surveillance campaign while we get 0 day set up in a secure location, we might stand a chance. As they discussed their options, Byte's phone buzzed with notifications. She picked it up and her eyes widened. The puppies against surveillance campaign is blowing up. People are starting to notice the government's heavy-handedness, and we're trending. Maverick's heart raced at the thought. That's exactly what we need. Public attention can create chaos on their end while we work behind the scenes. They gathered around Byte's phone, brainstorming ways to capitalize on the viral momentum. Each suggestion sparked new ideas, and soon they were creating a plan to leverage social media to gather public support, rallying those who opposed the government's crackdown. As they worked, Maverick felt a shift within himself. They weren't just hackers anymore, they were a movement, united by a cause greater than themselves. But just as they were gaining traction, the doorbell rang, shattering their concentration. Who is it? Pixel asked, eyes wide with alarm. I don't know, Byte replied, her voice tense. Maverick moved cautiously to the window and peeked outside. It's 2 agents. They're looking for us. Crap. Byte whispered, panic creeping into her voice. Everyone, hide. Maverick ordered, his heart racing as he ducked behind the couch, motioning for them to follow. The agents' voices drifted through the door, discussing their search strategy. We need to check every apartment, one of them said, their tone stern. They can't be far. Maverick felt the walls closing in, the pressure mounting as the agents knocked on the door. This is the police. Open up. Byte's eyes were wide with fear. What do we do? They'll find us. Stay quiet, Maverick hissed, holding his breath as the door creaked open. The agent stepped inside, scanning the room. Maverick could feel the tension thickening in the air as they moved closer. Clear, one of them said, moving into the living room. Just then, Byte's phone buzzed again, a notification lighting up the screen. Maverick shot her a glare, and she quickly silenced it, but it was too late. The agents turned, eyes narrowing. What was that? One of them asked, moving toward the couch. Panic surged through Maverick. We need to make a break for it, he whispered urgently. As the agents moved closer, Maverick felt a surge of adrenaline. Now, he shouted, and they bolted from their hiding spots, racing toward the back door. The agents were right behind them, but Maverick and the others had a head start. They dashed through the kitchen and out into the alley behind the building, the sound of their footsteps echoing in the narrow space. Split up. Maverick yelled, knowing they had to lose the agents. Byte and Pixel took one direction while Maverick headed the opposite way, heart pounding as he sprinted through the maze of alleyways. He felt the weight of their mission pressing down on him, the stakes higher than ever. After what felt like an eternity, he ducked into a small shop that appeared to be closed for the day. He pressed his back against the wall, breathing heavily as he tried to calm himself. He pulled out his phone, checking for any messages from Byte or Pixel. But there was nothing, just silence. Anxiety gnawed at him. Were they safe? Had the agents caught up with them? Minutes dragged on, each second feeling like an hour. Finally, his phone buzzed with a message from Byte, "We're okay. Meeting at the park." Relief washed over him, but it was short-lived. He knew they couldn't stay in one place for long. The agents would be searching every corner of the city for them. Maverick slipped out of the shop and headed toward the park, carefully navigating through the streets. As he arrived, he scanned the area for Byte and Pixel. They were waiting by a large oak tree, looking anxious but unharmed. "There you are," Byte exclaimed, rushing over to him. "We were worried." "Yeah, it was a close call," Maverick said, glancing around. "Did you see where the agents went?" "They moved on, but we can't stick around," Pixel said, his voice urgent. "They might come back." "Let's head to the safe house," Byte suggested, her eyes wide with determination. "We can regroup and figure out our next move." As they made their way toward the safe house, a plan began to form in Maverick's mind. They needed to rally their resources, reach out to their contacts, and prepare for the next step in their fight against the government's oppressive measures. Once they arrived, they quickly settled into the small, cluttered space. The atmosphere was tense but charged with energy, the remnants of their earlier excitement still lingering in the air. Maverick took a deep breath, gathering everyone's attention. "All right, we've come too far to back down now. The government thinks they can silence us, but we have to show them that we won't be intimidated." He could see the resolve in their eyes, a shared determination to fight back against the forces that threatened their freedom. "We need to amplify our message. Byte, you said the Puppies Against Surveillance campaign was gaining traction. Let's build on that." They brainstormed ways to use their newfound viral momentum to rally support. They could launch a series of online protests, encouraging people to share their stories and experiences with surveillance and government overreach. As they worked, Maverick felt the energy shift in the room. They weren't just hackers anymore, they were part of a larger movement. They had the power to reach people beyond their screens, to inspire change. "Let's use the power of social media to create real-world action," Byte said, her eyes gleaming with passion. "We can organize a protest, raise awareness, and show them we're not going down without a fight." Maverick nodded, fueled by the excitement in the room. "And we can use Zero Day as our last resort if they push us too far." Pixel chimed in, "Let's make sure we have a plan for that, though. We can't let it spiral out of control." They spent the next few hours organizing their strategy, laying out the groundwork for their protest and using their hacking skills to spread the word. As night fell, the atmosphere shifted from tense to hopeful. They were united, fighting for a cause greater than themselves, and the fire of resistance burned brightly within them. Finally, as they wrapped up for the night, Byte looked around at her friends, her heart swelling with pride. "We're going to make a difference, aren't we?" Maverick nodded, a smile breaking through the stress of the day. "We already have." With a renewed sense of purpose, they prepared to take their fight to the streets, ready to stand up against the powers that sought to control them. The next day, The world would see what they were made of, and nothing could stop them now. As dawn broke, they stepped out into the sunlight, the promise of a new day ahead. Maverick felt a thrill of anticipation rush through him. Together, they would fight for their freedom, and this was just the beginning. They were no longer just hackers, they were a force to be reckoned with, and as the sun rose, casting golden rays over the city, they marched forward into the unknown, determined to change the world.